Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video, and for this one it is Eliminator, which was released by Hewson in 1988 for Commodore Amiga. Now, I've already reviewed the Commodore 64 game and I'm a bit of a fan of it, although I do admit that the thing that I'm most impressed with as far as the Commodore 64 game goes is the Your Own Tell soundtrack, especially the in-game music. Now, I find that Hewson, to me anyway, have a bit in common with Thalamus. On the Commodore 64, both companies have a reputation for releasing really high quality games, and more often than not they were very popular, they sold really well. Another thing they have in common is that I can't stand the majority of games that Hewson and Thalamus have released. As far as Thalamus goes, the only games I really like are Hunter's Moon, which I keep mentioning, Retrograde, now that I've played it, Quedex, and if I'm in the mood for it, Hawkeye, and that's it. I can't stand any of the other games. And with Hewson, again, they've released, a number of classic games, but the only Hewson games that I can say I like are Eliminator, Morpheus, which is another one of those Commodore 64 games that's a bit ominous in, not being amongst the games I've reviewed yet, and Uridium, and going back quite a way, Gribbly's Day Out, and that really is about it. All the other Hewson games, a lot of classic games, I can't stand, things like Nebulous and of course Paradroid, and I'm sure there are plenty of others. And the other thing that they have in common with Thalamus is that as good as their 64 games are, or are reputed to be, their Amiga stuff tends to be utter shite. That is absolutely the case with Thalamus. I've only played 2 Thalamus Amiga games. Hawkeye, which I fucking had back in the day and paid 25 quid for! And I've also played Armalite on the Amiga. I'll be covering that one at some point, but fuck me, what a pile of shit. With Hewson, again, I haven't played that many Hewson games on the Amiga. I've played Nebulous, which I did have back in the day. Thankfully it was a game that I acquired rather than bought. I thought that was shit. I know a lot of fans of the Commodore 64 game also think the Amiga version is shit, so that's not just me. I don't like the version of Uridium on the Amiga. I've not played the Paradroid version on the Amiga, shock horror. I've also played Netherworld on the Amiga. That was another game that I had for the Amiga back in the day. Again, it was another one that I acquired rather than bought, thank fuck. And then there's this. So, I'm going on the assumption that you either know the game already or you've seen my Commodore 64 review. So let's jump straight in and fire her up. So what I'll do, I'll pause it here. We'll just quickly go through your status panel on that. So if we look on the left hand side, they are your weapons. You move the joystick up and down to select which weapon you're going to use. Obviously you have to collect them along the way, so at the moment I only have the single shot. On the right hand side, the top bar, the orange bar, is your ammo. The second bar, the blue one, is your armour level. So you do have limited shots, and you can take hits as far as like shots from the enemy, but if you actually fly into anything and actually hit something, then you're destroyed straight away. And then below that, those 3 diamonds represent your lives. So off we go. Now, first thing, here we go with the, there's an extra weapon I got, so I now have to double fire, and this is the weapon I tend to use all the time. So I'll grab another extra weapon. Actually, I don't know why I grabbed that one, I don't really use it. So I have taken quite a few hits actually. Try and make our way through these fuckers. Fuck it. So I flew into one of them. Unfortunately, because of the we are now going uphill, you can't see too far ahead. And of course, yes, that is part of the game design. So right, I'm going to destroy those targets. I'll get some extra armour. And now we have to destroy these fuckers and then try and get through these 2 here. And here we are at the end of the level. And if you're familiar with the Commodore 64 game, you're probably now thinking, fuck me, that level's short. Which, you know, they are. The levels are a lot shorter in this version than they are in the Commodore 64 version. The reason being that it's a lot more compact. Although the level playing time is a lot shorter, you are actually facing the same number of enemies and the same number of sort of obstacles as you are in the Commodore 64 version. It's just that they all come along a lot quicker. I think the Commodore 64 version plays at a slower rate purely because they want you to be able to listen to the Your Own Tale soundtrack. And yeah, okay, I do think the Your Own Tale soundtrack is great, but slowing the game down so you can listen to it, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. The game is also a lot easier to actually progress through. You can see, on the Commodore 64 version, I was really fucking struggling to get to, or get anywhere on level 2. And here, I've just completed level 2. So I haven't lost a life yet. So yeah, now you can enter that password, which is amoeba, spelled wrong. And it's supposed to start you at this level. In fact, if you enter it, it starts you back on level 1 again. So yeah, that works well. Now this level is a bit of a cunt, to put it mildly. I'll grab this extra weapon. I'll show you some of the extra weapons then. So we've seen the 2-way fire. Oh, there's a lot of inertia on your ship. It's not easy to actually move it left and right. So you end up with the aliens flying right into you. Thankfully, I just reached that reset point, so I was able to carry on from here. And you have to hit that jump ramp to get over here. But now, where's the fucking jump? How do you get past that? I have no fucking clue. This is as far as I always get. Because I just can't see how I get past this fucking thing here. Do we have to be right to the side? Oh, okay, right, there you go. And now we've got to be right to the side here as well. So right, now this is the furthest I've ever got on the Amiga version. Fucking hell, I mean, look at it, they're all over the fucking place. So yeah, there's a lot more happening as I've completed level 3. There's a lot more happening in each level on the Amiga version than the 64. So anyway, let's show you the other weapons then. So you have this one which fires sort of dual blasts to a wide angle. And then you had this one which fires like a distant sort of like bomb, a sort of lobbing effect. Now when you lose a life you also lose the most recently gained new weapon, which is no problem for me because I don't really use don't really use any weapon other than this one I've got selected. So I think this is my last life. So let's just keep blasting away because I've got to be on this side. Yeah, and now I've got to go right the way to the other side here. These cunts. That's a jump. So now I'm up on the top here and got hit by that obstacle, and there we go. Well, that's the best go I've ever had. So it keeps saying this. It says at the end there, this message will not appear again, and yet it appears every fucking time I load it. But it is only that once, but never mind. So let's get the review underway then. Presentation is more or less identical to the Commodore 64 version, i.e. not very impressive. So we'll get a game underway then. Graphically, the game absolutely stinks of straight Atari ST port. Graphically, it just looks so much like an Atari ST game. And if the graphics don't make you think that, the fucking audio certainly does. The audio is utter shit. I mean, the music is bearable, I suppose, but I mean, let's face it, it's certainly not the Your Own Tell soundtrack of the Commodore 64 version, which is just so much better. So yeah, graphics wise, it's very, you know, it's Atari ST. I don't know what hit me there. Oh well. And yeah, audio wise, it's very Atari ST, i.e. a fucking load of shite. But gameplay is where it counts, and I have to say I think the gameplay is fucking good. I do like the gameplay of the Commodore 64 version, but this one is a lot faster, a lot more frantic, because everything is coming at you far more quickly. There aren't the long pauses between the next wave of enemies coming along or the next load of obstacles coming along. They're all on top of you much faster, and I think the game, here we go, we're up on the top section now, but I think the game is much better as a result, even if I'm playing it like shit at the moment. So I'm going to start right from the scratch. I didn't reach any fucking restart points, and now I've got to, yeah. Well, that was a shit go. Oh well. So yeah, gameplay wise, it's a lot more, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more frantic, and you know, so the levels are a lot shorter, but that is because they're a lot more compact. There's far fewer sort of like, you know, gaps where you're not really doing very much. Oh fucking hell. The ship is not the easiest to control. It does have quite a bit of inertia there. But I mean, again, that's by design. That's not just, you know, that's not some fuck up or anything like that. I don't have a great deal of armour left. I think I took too many hits. You missed every single one of those. So yeah, I do think that the game is you know, a decent game to play, but it's say as far as the audio goes, it's nowhere near as good as the Commodore 64 version. But it's, you know, it's still a decent it's still a decent game, you know, it's well worth playing. If there was a way of maybe getting rid of this music and replacing it with the Commodore 64 music, you'd have the perfect version. The levels are a lot shorter, but they're a lot more... Well, yeah, I would say the levels are more challenging, even though I'm getting a lot further, you know, in this video than I did in what do you call it? On the Commodore 64 version. You know, I did pretty shit on the Commodore 64 version. I only got to like very early in level 2. Whereas here, you see me get up to level whatever the fuck it was. 4? Yeah, it was 4. Oh, yeah, I went too fucking far over. And again. Alright, well now I've got no fucking chance because I'm down to the single weapon. Oh, you fuck. That's got me game over, there you go. So that is Eliminator then for the Amiga. So I will score it 7 out of 10. I mean, yeah, graphically it's straight Atari ST port, so it's not very impressive at all. And the audio is straight from Atari ST, i.e. shite. But the game itself is pretty good to play. It does actually play better than the Commodore 64 version. In fact, I seem to remember that when I reviewed the Commodore 64 version, I described this version as shite. Yeah, clearly I was wrong. So, there you go, Eliminator for Commodore Amiga, 7 out of 10. That brings this review to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.